It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Y.S. Webster.
Hello.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Keen.
And no comment from Liz. Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
Going that well.
You just have to come to expect it.
He's from that generation that was told, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything.
Oh, so true.
Dang, I'd be like a mute.
I don't say much most of the time, other than on the show, pretty much. But yeah, it's all good.
Boy, if Liz was mute, these shows would be, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah, we get back down to 30 minutes a show like we used to be.
Hey, yeah, wow. Well, welcome to October. Welcome to Horror Month. So,
Yay.
Woo.
We're back trying to we're going to finish up 2021 strong, hopefully. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy for the last couple weeks since we were off?
Well, I've been watching a lot of TV, and I finished Buffy. Yay! I didn't like the ending of that one, guys. That was kind of...
By ending, what do you mean exactly?
The whole, if you're a Slayer, you're going to be born a Slayer, and girls everywhere, girl power. I mean, it was cool, but it was kind of like, this isn't. It was a totally different ending than they've ever given us on their season finales, and I realized this was a series finale, but it was just kind of. I don't know. To me, there was something special about being the one, the trained one, the special one, the Slayer. There was something special about being that, and by her distributing her powers or whatever, it's no longer a special thing. You know what I don't know. I know where they were going with it, and it was a great message to send out and a positive message, but to me it was just kind of
anticlimactic.
Yeah, you took the moral way out instead of, and what
instead of actually ending the story, right?
Right. And what they did to Anya, that was bullshit. Total bullshit. I mean, she finally gets emotions and she dies. That was messed up, Especially, why were they fighting them in the school? Let them run outside to where the sunlight was. I mean, there was no reason to fight them. Let them run, let them burn up. Everybody would have lived. Everybody would have made it on the bus, and woohoo, So I didn't like that ending at all. I thought it was neat with Spike how they finally brought that around, because the girl told him one day she'll tell you, and she did. It was as he was bursting into flames, but hey.
He's a vampire. What do you expect?
Right. And I didn't... After the whole almost raping her, I didn't think I would like Spike again. It's kind of hard to get over something like that, And the way that he tortured himself and knew that he could only understand what he did wrong was by getting a soul and becoming the person who she wanted him to be. So I thought that was kind of a twisted love kind of thing, I still wouldn't have let him around me, but hey, I guess she was a bigger person than I was in that case, but I see where he definitely played a role and she needed to keep him around, but I think at that point they should have totally nixed the whole love interest. That was just... Ugh.
Yeah, this was a show where that never really went well anyway. That never worked out.
And I guess because I've been watching it, a lot of stuff about Buffy has been popping up. And they just recently did a interview with James Masterson. Is that his name? James Masterson? Spike? Marston.
Yeah.
And he was talking, they asked him, the stuff about Cordelia. I can't remember her real name right now. But he was like, had you ever heard anything about Whedon before she said anything? He was like, oh my God, yes. What he said, Whedon pretty much backed him into a wall and, yelled and cussed and screamed. He didn't want Spike to begin with. Spike was supposed to be a very minor character who either left or got killed off. Well, when he left, the fans went crazy. And the producers came to Whedon and pretty much told him, hey, you're going to have to find a way to keep this guy. We took Angel away from them. We can't take Spike now, too. Well, in Whedon's world, Spike represents everything evil and ugly that he was writing against. There was never supposed to be love there because this guy's evil and nasty, So to say that he was unhappy about keeping him on would have been an understatement. And so he's like, he let me know all the time that I was not welcomed on that set, So I think once we hear all the ucky that happened behind the scenes, I'm impressed that they made a show that came out so well, because there was so much behind the scenes to where it shouldn't have, So yeah, wasn't too happy with that one. And then I was like, well, I think I'm going to start watching Buffy so I can see when Spike comes back, because I heard that he comes back after bursting into flames. Somehow he came back. But after watching a couple episodes of Angel again, it was like, can't do this. So I'll look up those episodes and watch those later. But I can't. No.
It's a lot to do all at once, for sure.
It is. And Angel just isn't as exciting as Buffy was. Maybe it'll get there, but the first couple of episodes is so not up to par to where Buffy was.
My feeling on it was that it was very much a different show.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the same. It was not intended, I don't think, to ever be that, like you said, the chosen one type setting. This was much more dramatic and didn't work the same way. I mean, it was good in its own way. There was more like intrigue and mystery to it than Buffy. I mean, a lot of Buffy was just sort of kicking ass and taking names, and Angel was never intended to be that way.
No, I could see where they wanted to go, like the mystery detective guy kind of thing. I guess a vampire or Batman. But
I don't even know if it's Batman so much. Like more, I mean, almost more like Magnum PI.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say kind of a noir, except for it's a vampire as lead character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam Spade, that kind of thing. Yeah.
To me, it seems more like Angel is a show where he's helping humans in a show that happens to have monsters in them, to where Buffy was about fighting monsters and maybe helping humans. There wasn't a whole lot of the helping human side of it shown, other than her saving the freaking world a couple of times. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right.
It was literally a monster of the week.
She saved the world a lot.
Yes.
It was
and it
on
was
her
more
tombstone.
About killing the monster than, But yeah, so I wasn't happy about that one. And then I didn't like the last pairing they did with Willow, the Slayer chick. I didn't like that. But I will be totally honest when I say when she cast her last spell and her hair turned white and she was laughing, I cried. I so cried because it was like, you know, that's all she's ever wanted. You know, she was able to tap into something even more powerful than the dark side and be okay. You know, so that was kind of one of those, oh. But honestly, with that scene, it makes you realize Willow is way more powerful than Buffy will ever be, or can even understand her being. So, you know, just saying.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of times in the show, had it not been for Willow's magic, fighting Adam when they all had to put themselves into Buffy so she'd have enough power and stuff. They couldn't have done that without Willow and her magic. So I after watching the whole series, I would say that Willow came out the top badass.
And what was the deal with the cheese?
I don't know. But yeah, so that was kind of one of those, now what do I do with my life? Because I finished watching.
I mean, you watched 7 seasons of a TV show. That's a lot.
That is.
That takes some time. I'll be honest with you. I never watched season 7.
Season 7 was...
The end of season 6 broke me. And I stopped watching both Buffy and Angel because of it.
I'm trying to think what happened at the end of season 6.
Darth Rosenberg.
Dark Willow.
Yeah. That was bad. And the yellow crayon. Oh.
Honestly, you know what it was that broke me? Tara.
Yeah.
Yes. That was another one like Anya. It was so pointless. I know they had to have that there for us to see the scary side of Willow, but I think they could have done that without killing her, you know?
But it's all about stakes. Not the killing vampire kind, but the stakes of the game. I mean,
yeah.
I understood why they did it, and I know why they needed to do it, but I still couldn't handle it.
that
I
one
still
was
couldn't
pretty
do
bad.
it. I just walked away.
And I think that's why I had a problem with her with the other girl. Because it was like she'll never... It was everything Tara wasn't, you know? Where you had this kind, gentle person. You had this... I hate to say butch, but you had this, you know, strong, overpowering female who, to me, didn't compliment Willow the way Tara did. You know, they both like kittens, and it seemed like the other girl would have ate one.
Dang.
Well,
no.
The only thing I can think of is if they had found someone who's so similar to Tara that there would have been a lot of backlash.
Right. It wouldn't. They couldn't win at that point.
Yeah.
They just couldn't win. So they decided to do something else to move the story.
Yeah.
And then at that point, there kind of wasn't a story anymore anyway. So, whatever.
Other than the werewolf part, though, I kind of saw Tara as being like a female Oz. They both had that gentle spirit, didn't say a lot, but said a lot without saying anything, you know? They both had that kind of oomph to them. That kind, I keep hating to say kind, but I can't think of another word to describe Tara, because, I mean, she would talk and birds would fly down to her finger. You know, she was that kind of person. And Oz kind of was too, that before we found out about the werewolf, he was so innocent and, you know, had that little shy, don't talk to me kind of thing going on the way Tara did. So Tara made sense after Oz. The Slayer chick didn't make sense because it wasn't what Willow had been attracted to in the past, you know? So, I don't know. I couldn't see Now, I'm not a lesbian, so I don't know how that works or anything else, but I couldn't see you had two femmes, and with the other couple, it almost seemed to be a femme and a dom. You know, they didn't complement each other too well. So, but yeah, I say it was good. I liked it, but I would have reworked the ending a few times.
Well, if that's all you're going to change, that's okay then.
You know. Well, and then when Spike was burning up, it was like, why couldn't that have been Angel? It's like he came to town and passed the necklace off and was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to L.A. while you try to save the freaking world. I hope you do it because I have lunch tomorrow. I mean, you know, it's like, hello.
Angel was kind of busy about this time, too, so, yeah.
But if she failed, it would have been the end of the world. So what could have possibly have been that time consuming?
He was always dealing with the end of the world too.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they were trying to separate the two at this point. They were trying to. I mean, they knew Buffy was going to wrap up. They were trying to keep Angel going.
And they shouldn't have even had him come back, and the Guardian should have given her the necklace.
Hey, no argument here.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not saying there's not a better way to handle it. I'm just saying that was why Angel didn't stay.
Yeah. But, you know, there was a couple of times that he was like, oh, I'm going to be with you till the end, but not tonight. I'll lay my life down for you. Oh, but I got to go, you know. I can't control myself around you, so I got to leave, you know. So, yeah. That's the problem I had with that one. I really think it should have been Angel, who was the original vampire with a soul, which was what that whole necklace thing and everything else was about. He was the original. He should have burnt up, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably.
But then on Discord, I got a lovely suggestion to watch another movie, which was called Willy's Wonderland.
Okay, let's stop right there. I did not make a suggestion. I just said, hey, this looks pretty interesting. That's not a suggestion.
My little squirrel brain goes, I haven't seen that Nicolas Cage movie either. Wow. It was... I don't think Nicolas Cage was paid a lot to do this movie. I really don't. I won't give too many spoilers out because it's still kind of a new movie. So I know a lot of you haven't seen it, so I won't tell you what makes Nicolas Cage such a weirdo in this movie. But
in this movie.
In this movie.
As opposed to the other movies where he's not a weirdo, you know.
Right. Well, this one he's a little extra weird. One of the other main girl in this movie, actually, she plays on, I want to say Sons of Mayan, but it's not Sons of Mayan. It was the Anarchy spinoff of Sons of Anarchy. I want to say it's just called Mayans.
Or the Mayans or something like that.
Yeah. And she's one of the main guy's daughter in this one. And it's kind of cool because she kind of kept the same kind of F-you attitude. And she's got crap parents no. Her parents were killed. And the person who took her in was crap. So she kind of had the same storyline in a way. So it was kind of neat to watch her in that after I finally figured out, oh, that's who that is, you know. There's a couple of actors in here that are that way. To me, this was screamed a lot like Five Nights at Freddy. Maybe it was going up against the whole childlike things, you know. But this was basically if Chuck E. Cheese came to life and was possessed by demons, this is what would happen. And it just, you know, in the 80s movies when people would die, it was because they were like having sex or doing drugs or, that kind of stuff. That was this movie, you know. Yeah, it was kind of weird. There's honestly, I think this movie was made to trip your ass off and watch. That just the vibes, the camera, the film photography or whatever the hell they call that, just really reeked of one of those kind of movies, because there were certain parts that I would have to go, wait, what? Did I just see it that way, or did the whole screen just kind of blend and do a tracer kind of thing? And no, it was put in there like that. So there's parts in this movie that are made to totally mess with your mind. So if you was a little inebriated, you'd probably enjoy the movie just a little bit better than I did. But I won't say it's the movie that I wish I wouldn't have watched. It's just one of those movies that you're kind of like, huh, well, I'll be damned. I can't believe Nicolas Cage did a movie like this, you know. Totally screams Frank Zappa, you know. So it's all right. It's all right. But while I was watching that, because I think that's on, I can't remember, maybe Hulu, but they're showing a clip of a movie coming out on the 1st, which is not Venom, but that's coming out too, called something about May Saints. I can't remember the exact thing, but it's from The Sopranos. It goes back into, if you guys were a Sopranos fan, I love The Sopranos. That's what I got into watching now. But this goes back before Tony was made. So it kind of shows him as a kid. Now, all through Sopranos, we hear what a shit show his mother was. And towards the end of Sopranos, we kind of get to see that veil lifted, that maybe his mother wasn't just a psychopath, but she was dealing with a hand that she was dealt. She was married to a guy who was sleeping with everybody. She had these kids that she's trying to take care of at home. I mean, it's the typical stuff that would make a woman bitter, you know. She knows that she's married, but she doesn't have him completely. You know, that would jade anyone. She was having a miscarriage, and he was off with his mistress. So that's the kind of marriage she had, and it would make anybody kind of a bitch, you know. So we kind of got to see that side, and Tony figured this out, that, hey, maybe my mom wasn't so bad after all. You know, maybe this pedestal that I put my dad up on, he really didn't need to be up there, you know. So this will go into that. And we'll get to see a lot of the people like Polly and them, that Dickie, who we've heard stories about or heard their stories. And this will actually be the real time of them doing this stuff that we've heard about. So if you're a Sopranos fan, I think it's going to be really good. James Gandolfini, I can't say his last name, but he was Gandolfini. His son is actually playing Tony in this. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's got to be really hard, because he's playing a role that when his dad died, he was known for playing that. I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff, but everybody will know him as Tony Soprano, you know. So I can only imagine how hard that was for him to, you know, step into his dad's shoes. So should be pretty good. I'm excited. I think HBO is streaming it the same time that it comes out at the movies. So if you get a chance, you know, like I said, if you're a Sopranos fan, I know it's been a while, but if you were a fan of The Sopranos, this movie does look interesting. They're saying that if you go to this movie expecting The Godfather, you're going to be completely disappointed. This is not The Godfather. A lot of people are saying this reads more like a 2-hour episode of The Sopranos instead of a movie. And I don't know, I think I would kind of like that better. So, you know. I don't know. But like I said, when I saw that, I started watching Sopranos again. And
so you got off your Buffy thing pretty fast.
pretty quick,
Back
yeah.
into the Sopranos.
Went to the mob from the vampires, which they're kind of the same thing.
Kind of, yeah.
You know. It's kind of interesting though, because the part that I'm in now, me and Phil, we watched this when it came out on HBO way back when, but the part that this is in now was right after September 11th, and they are through New York and stuff, so it's kind of interesting because like one of the fiancés on there, one of her big fears was going to war. And I'm like, well, what war? And then it was like, yeah, right after we were attacked on 9/11, we did go to war. People were worried about that. We were sending kids off, So it's kind of neat to see that and how it played into the show, which, of course, my little ADD brain was like, I wonder if September 11th wouldn't have happened, how what direction they would have taken in this show. Because, a lot of things kind of centered around that and the cops' mentality and stuff at that time. And so, yeah, like I said, it's been pretty cool. I've forgotten some of it. And
imagine that.
Right.
Been a while.
It's been quite a while. Like I said, it will be neat to see the prequel to The Sopranos. And Sopranos is another one. If you were a Sopranos fan, they gave us a shit ending to that show. I mean, it was bad. I mean, worse than Lost. I mean, it was bad. So hopefully this movie can kind of make up for that, because we deserved better than that. Tony deserved better than that. So.
What is it with people and writing endings? I don't understand why that's so hard.
Right.
I say that I've never tried, but.
Especially when I think Sopranos was 7 seasons. For 7 seasons, they gave us solid season finales. I mean, they always made you want to come back for the first season. If they would have ended the show on, if that wasn't the series finale and only the season finale, I don't think I would have came back for season 8. It was that bad of an ending. It was like...
Well, it could have been worse. They could have all been in jail, Seinfeld.
Yeah, that was bad too. I guess when they're like, this is the end of the end, we got to do something big, and it just...
It's easier to pick series finales that were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Newhart ended awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well, some of them realize. I think a season or a series finale is fan service. That's all it is. There's at that point on the last episode, you should have everything wrapped up and pretty little bow on it, and your last episode should be nothing but fan service.
Like MASH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give them what you finally want, and there's not, you won't look at it and go, oh, I wonder if they, or like Sopranos, oh, I wonder if anybody made it out of the restaurant alive. Well, you shouldn't have those kind of questions on a series finale. I mean, everything should be answered and complete this is the whole complete story, and we gave it to you, Now, I understand some shows get canceled, and they don't expect to give you that wrap-up, so quickly. Manifest. But, I think when you have a clear laid out plan, like Buffy. Okay, I've got 7 seasons to do this. Here it is. This is going to be my final kiss to my fans instead of...
This might not be a great example. Because do I remember correctly, he had originally planned for 5 seasons of Buffy.
Yes.
So
That-
season 6 and season 7 were completely extraneous. He had no idea what to do when he got to the end of his plan.
And he only got it because UPN needed content. It said, "Hey, we'll throw you. We're going to throw this money at you. Bring back Buffy for however long you want to do it."
Now, if he would have ended at 5, that would have been amazing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
5, the ending was the only thing I didn't like, which I didn't like through, I guess, whatever season they brought her in. I hated Dawn. She was just this little
She was brought in season 5.
brat, and it was like, fucking get a clue. Your sister died for you, and now you're kicking her out of her house? I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? You were nobody. You were a poof of energy, and she made you somebody, you know? She was just very quick to turn on Buffy at every chance, and she was so quick to bitch at her every chance to where Dawn was wrote as probably the most annoying character on Buffy.
Okay. I'm so glad you said on Buffy. Because I was about ready to say, shut up, Wesley.
But see, she kind of had to be, because she was supposed to stand out like a sore thumb. That was the whole purpose.
In season 5,
right?
Yes.
Well, why would she change after that?
Because her sister died for her. I mean, she gave her life up so you didn't have to, you know?
You're trying to inject logic into this.
I would have been grateful. Dawn never came off as grateful for anything. It was always, what about me? Oh, I'm so sad. You're trying to save the end of the world, and I'm mad because the quarterback didn't kiss me. I mean, it was just like, God.
Character as written.
Yeah.
She was just.
They wrote themselves. No lie, they wrote themselves into a corner with that one. But still, it was the corner they wrote themselves into.
And when they played her up to possibly be a Slayer, it was like, I swear to God, I will not finish watching this if she becomes a Slayer. I mean, no.
That would have been hilarious. If only she'd been human. Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Right. And it seems like she would have figured that out. Or, you know. I wasn't born. And actually, other than being placed in a female's body, she was never born female or male. She's energy. You're nothing. The energy.
You're overthinking it.
Yeah.
You're getting too hung up on it.
I think you should have thought about it a little bit too.
Well, yeah. No doubt about it.
Thinking about too much, and he didn't think about it enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's easy to think about it too much 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
And I think they should have given us more of a goodbye for Cordelia on the show. She helped them quite a bit.
Again, we get into that background shit.
Yeah. But she went over to Angel. So it seems like they could have given her some kind of something other than she's there one season and the new season starts and she's gone. Nobody ever even said anything about her. And it's like, that's messed up. How many times did Cordelia save their ass?
Well, you gotta remember, the way they handle it is in between seasons is literally like summer. Yeah. So by the time season 4 starts, they're all in college. It's been four months.
Yeah.
After graduation. So yeah, she's moved on. She's gone to LA. So they've moved on.
Which is what she was always going to do anyway from season 1.
Yep.
She was going to go be a great actress.
But like when Oz went up there and gave Angel the ring and he came back, he never even said anything about her. He did about Angel, but nothing about Cordelia or nothing. It seems like they just kind of forgot that Xander was in love before Anya.
Xander had dumped her long before that. And
she dumped him when he put his tongue down Willow's throat, which I thought was so forced and so gross. that should have never happened. That was another one of those episodes that's like, what are you doing? You can be good friends with a guy without putting your tongue down their throat. Trust me. I have quite a few. So I didn't like that. Especially when what she had with Oz, too. And it just kind of made... Yeah, it made for a good episode. And that was
Drama.
it. It ruined a lot, you know.
It made for drama, and that's what these shows are for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Les, what's your thoughts?
Tell you the truth, I never watched an episode.
Oh. It's not bad, you know.
That nor Angel.
I can't say the same about Angel, but it's not bad. There's a couple episodes where you do have to keep your finger on the fast forward button because it's like the musical episode killed me. But yeah, I mean, it's all right.
In hindsight, probably should have seen the musical episode coming because they kept having Giles sing.
Yeah.
Of course, Anthony Stewart Head, you know, he's got a magnificent voice.
He does.
Yeah.
And so does James. I don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar really had a great voice. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But I loved the song that they did together. It was catchy. The Fire and Ice song. That's probably the only song I will remember out of that episode.
That's because you fast-forwarded through all of the rest of them.
Right.
So, guys, remember this. We need to get her to that soundtrack for Christmas so she can listen to it.
Started singing like a princess with the birds. I was like, no. No.
I'd pay good money to see that.
Right. I mean, she always dressed that way anyways, but it was like, I can't. Like I said before, I'm glad they had Dawn dance instead of sing, because when she first started off, it was like, oh my god. Someone hasn't hit puberty yet. So yeah. But that's all I got. Like I said,
Oh, is that all?
That's
You
all.
sure?
And then, of course, the stuff we're about to talk about. So I had to refresh, which on one of them, we'll talk about it later.
Save it. Okay, my turn, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to go on like that. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have a whole heck of a lot. I do have one interesting tidbit for those who are interested, and most people should be interested in this because, damn it, it's awesome. Duck Soup is free on Tubi right now.
Ooh.
Now is your chance, people.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Marx Brothers Duck Soup on Tubi.
That was the war one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fredonia.
Yeah.
Fredonia.
I keep wanting to say Moronica for morons, but that was the Stooges.
That was Stooges, yes.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm watching that. That's what I'm doing. I haven't done jack for the last couple of weeks. I spent last week when I would normally have been working on an episode of the podcast, working on an episode of the podcast. So I'm not spoiling that for nothing.
Yeah.
We'll get that here in a couple of, but not even, God, actually next week. Shit.
A couple days.
I mean, it's ready. It's not a problem, but yeah.
A couple days after this drops.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Nail everything down, people, because all bets are off.
Oh, God.
Sounds ominous.
Oh, it is an awful lot of fun.
All right, Les.
Well, let's see. I watched a couple of the upcoming films that we will be discussing. I also found the 1932 German film Vampire. And this was on Ray Gun, which is available on Roku. And I've been touting the Ray Gun because it shows you bad movies. But they do hit some good ones too. This was a good one. This was very, very interesting as to how they handled the vampire myth. I was enthralled. I sat and watched this all the way through, and I was very happy that I did because it was pretty freaking fascinating. I also watched let's see if I can get this right, Lady in Burlesque. This was a Barbara Stanwyck movie. Dealt with a murder of a burlesque member. And that was Stanwyck's profession in the movie also. She was a burlesque performer. And it was, I would treat it more like a comedy than I would a mystery. A couple interesting things was that it was written by Gypsy Rose Lee, and it was based on a book she did, and also that one of the actors was Pinky Lee. And now I'm dating myself because I remember when Pinky Lee had his own television program. It was a kids show. And this was about the same time that you had Captain Kangaroo and Howdy Doody. So the competition for the viewing audience was pretty good. It's pretty stiff, as they say. And seeing him in this was kind of fun because I remember him singing his little song about coming there and wanting to make you laugh, things like that. So I was impressed. I'm gonna say that's about it. But like I said, I was happy to both watch those films and watch our upcoming discussion films. So I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is.
Oh, and by the way, I did talk to my trainer and convinced her that she should watch Laurel and Hardy, some Laurel and Hardy films. The woman had never seen a Laurel and Hardy film.
No.
And I thought, are you kidding? How have you gone this far without seeing something on the basis of Laurel and Hardy?
I thought there for a minute you were going to say Willy's Wonderland.
So did I. Oh man.
Yeah, you got to bring it on around. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Wouldn't it?
That's next, right? Get some Laurel and Hardy in her first, maybe a little bit of Charlie Chaplin, and then go straight to Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. There you go.
Hey, once you guys see that, Charlie Chaplin and Willy's Wonderland have a lot in common. That's all I'll say.
You're not going to talk me into watching it. I don't care what you say.
Alrighty. For me, in addition to working, getting ready for this month's offerings and working on a schedule for next year, I'm already trying to get ahead on that. I also had the opportunity to binge watch Star Trek Picard. Watch this. I liked it. I liked it a lot. The premise is it's 20 years after the events of Nemesis, the last Next Generation film. And Picard has, quote-unquote, retired. But he's brought out, kind of brought back into action because there are Romulans or this secret organization. They're hunting down synths. Androids have been banned since the event, since Nemesis, and they kind of go into detail why that happened and all that. So Picard encounters a robot and is destroyed. So he's got to find out what the hell is going on. And this season was 10 episodes, and it really kind of worked. They did a really good job of doing the overall story. If you get it up, if you've not seen it, like I said, I recommend it. There's a lot of guest stars from the original series. Some that I thank God were not spoiled by social media. I was surprised when a couple of them appeared. And that was cool. That was kind of cool, but really good story. Kind of had questions about the ending, but they set it up for season 2, which will be out next year, which would definitely be fun because they're bringing back Q. They've already teased that.
Yes.
And we already know that Whoopi Goldberg has agreed to come back as Guinan, so it's going to be fun. Who knows? What else they'll bring back?
That'll be fun. We finally get the cat fight between Q and Guinan.
That would be great. I would love to see that. And honestly, because when they kind of first teased that he was coming back, I was like, it was disappointing that they never did a movie with Q, where they can actually do a little bit more with his abilities on a grander scale. I wish but it might have been bad, but would have been any worse than the films we did get? I don't know. Probably not.
Good point.
But it would have been cool. So, but yeah. Definitely, if you get the opportunity, check it out. I thought it was handled real well. I was pretty pleased.
This is an actual recommendation, Liz.
Yes. This is this is a recommendation of something I've seen.
Wow.
As opposed to watching a trailer and look, hey, that trailer looks pretty good. I may need to watch that. That's something different. There we go.
Don't let them do that to you. Jump on their asses.
I was going to tell him to be more careful with things that he just threw around then, but yeah, I won't go there. I didn't hear the movie till you said it.
Well, I hadn't heard it until I found out that there was actually a comic book prequel on the film. And so, so obviously the PR team
Failed.
Right.
Yeah.
They tried to bury this one.
Well, the pandemic didn't help. But, like I said, seeing the trailer, I'm like, okay, this looks kind of interesting. But I still hadn't had an opportunity to see it, so.
It's interesting.
No, we already did that bit. Move on.
Yes. So definitely watch Picard. I think if you're a fan of Next Generation, I think you would be pretty pleased. Okay, before we get into this week's discussion, kind of want to point out that it's already been mentioned a couple times already. We do have a Discord that is open.
Very contentious one, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Make sure you have your reading classes when you actually get on the
Shots fired.
Liz, that's 2 now.
I know.
Come on.
Beep, beep.
Yeah.
Discord is free to sign up, and app is free. We do have an invite on our homepage, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. As you can tell, we post trailers. We post news items. We post a lot of fun stuff, music, whatever. We hold things on our audio channels, kind of like get-togethers. We've done a couple of movie nights, that kind of thing. So if you're interested, by all means, please join us. And don't forget the glasses.
You can see that bus hit you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I can see her saluting you now, Thomas.
Right?
The old single finger salute.
Yeah.
Turning up the volume.
Why the pinky? Why the pinky? I don't understand that. Is there something particular with the pinky? I don't get that.
No, it's a few over. It's its neighbor.
Oh, the thumb. Okay. Good. All right. As we mentioned before, this is Horror Month. If you've not checked out our previous episodes in October, we usually do a particular theme, usually horror movies or literature or what have you. But for this year, we do a little something different. We are examining like Halloween specials or animated spooky movies or what have you. So just something a little bit more all ages, just to kind of do something a little different this time. And to make Liz happy, I decided for our first episode we would do Frankenweenie and Vincent, both by Tim Burton.
Yay!
So you can turn those fingers down since I did.
We're back to the pinky.
Oh, good.
Right. And I think the best person to lead us off is Les.
Okay. First, I enjoyed Vincent. That was a nice, short film that was featuring, of course, Vincent Price as the speaker. And not that the animation was new, because this was what he did in most every one of his animated, starting with James and the Giant Peach. So,
Well, this was his first dabble with stop motion.
but his first feature film, okay. Yeah, his first feature film was James and the Giant Peach. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It had a good, tight story. The boy wished to be, and that's where they took it. And they had so many references of Vincent Price movies in there, or horror movies in general, that I was taken. I said, this is pretty good stuff. So I have high marks for the short Vincent, and it was only it was less than 20 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good. Had a good time with that one.
This is one of his lesser knowns. This was done during the time he was working with Disney, and I don't know if Disney funded this one though. Originally, when he wrote the story, this was supposed to be a kid's book, which I would have bought it, but I think they did a better job with making it the stop motion like he did. It did take him almost 2 years, I think, to put this together. With it only being, that's how new to stop motion he was. It took him forever. This one didn't make Disney too happy at all. It didn't get him fired. That's the next movie we're getting to that we'll talk about. But I liked this one. To me, he should have named this Timothy, because when I think of Tim Burton as a little kid, it's Vincent. I mean, he talks of Edgar Allan Poe and, my heart's on the floor, and I loved the mother. The only thing that I don't know, because I've battled with mental illness, when she comes in to talk to Vincent and basically tells him, hey, snap out of this shit and go outside, do you notice she never turns the light on for him? It's still a dark room. She goes into the darkness to talk to him, but she never turns the light on for him. And that's, part of why we see after she leaves, he still stays in his room and, so to me, it was almost like, I guess somebody with a battle with mental illness, that they've got these, almost a different life, and, I'm depressed and sad and living in the darkness and never comes out to the light. And so I don't know, but I may have read more into the 10 minutes than what he gave us there,
Maybe.
But just the hair and everything, he should have named this Timothy, because it's him, I think that's why this one has a little bit more impact than some of his other works, because this was something that he worked on as a story before he ever even thought to bring it to life. So this was him, his heart, on paper pretty much. So I liked it. I do like it. Like I said, it is one of his lesser knowns, which is sad, because out of all the other stuff he's done, I'd put it right up there with Beetlejuice and stuff, maybe because the length, I'm not sure, but I think for the mindset the little boy was in, black and white was perfect to go with this. I know he probably did more of the black and white, probably one for money factor, but two to get that goth feel to it. But I think it was perfect. He does the same thing with the next movie too, and it just kind of puts you in that mood, it really conveyed what he was feeling. You know, everything's dark and why me? Why me? So, I loved it. If it would have been a girl, it should have been named Liz. I loved it.
I know I'm shocked.
Right.
But I agree. I liked it quite a bit. I also agree that making it any longer would not have worked. I'm sure getting Vincent Price to actually do the voice work for it was a hell of a victory for him, because I mean, obviously he did a pretty damn good job
Yeah.
with that, and it is an interesting, dark little story, but you know, I mean, it's that time of year. We're allowed
You
to
know,
like dark little stories right now.
Vincent probably read this and was like, hell yeah. I want to do this.
Oh yeah, I probably thought, oh, this is sweet.
This is me. But can you imagine having someone who has made such an impression on you and your work to agree to do one of the first things you're really known for?
Right.
That would be, I mean,
It's a win.
hell, he was 24 when he made this. That's early in his career. That's a major win. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this as well. I definitely loved the look of it. I agree that it went as long as it should, because, you know, for the reasons that y'all mentioned, going any further would make the overall film suffer. Thought it was a nice little story. Yeah, getting Vincent Price. I mean, hell, I would listen to Vincent Price read a phone book.
Mm-hmm.
He just has a great voice, and
That tone.
that tone and all that, you know. So, yeah, I mean, if you've not seen this, you should. Is it okay? I can recommend that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
This one's okay to recommend.
Okay. Especially since I've seen it.
Yeah.
That helps.
Okay, how about Frankenweenie? Or anything else you want to talk about on Vincent?
No.
No, I'm good.
It's short and sweet.
Yep. All right, Frankenweenie.
Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, I don't know if Tim Burton plans this all the time, but a lot of his scary movies come out in October. Frankenweenie was no exception. There's a funny backstory to Frankenweenie, though. After Tim Burton made Vincent, he went to work on Frankenweenie, which was another story he had wrote and wanted to bring it to life. And he made it. Disney watched it. And they're like, man, we hate this so much that you're fired. I mean, you made us a kids movie that we can't even let kids watch. What the hell did you do? And pretty much fired him. Now, this was probably around 84 when Disney let him go over this, to finally come back later in 2012 and go, you know what? I think we want to make that movie again with you. So, you know, of course, at this time, Burton has cranked out Edward Scissorhands. He's cranked out Nightmare Before Christmas, Batman, Mars Attacks, Corpse Bride. I mean, he's done all of these hits after hits after hits that Disney was like, okay, you know, maybe you did know what you were doing back then. You know, so maybe we can give you some money and you can make this one again. So it was kind of funny because, you know, Disney is not good at eating crow. I mean, you have to almost back them into a corner before they go, oh, you know what, maybe we were wrong, you know. So for them to go from firing him to the next freaking 10, 20 years. He's made them bukus of money, so talk about fingers. I would have given them double one and went, ha ha. My little macabre minds know what the hell it's doing. But yeah, so that was kind of the interesting story about Frankenweenie. I do want to put a disclaimer down on this movie, though. If you have recently lost a pet, do not watch this movie. It will be the worst thing you can possibly do to yourself. It is the story of a boy and his dog, and his dog is killed. He's hit by a car, and the little boy can't let go. We've all been there. We are not given animals long enough. We're loaned them for a very short period of time, and when their time comes up, that's it. Well, this little boy's like, that's not it. I mean, this is bullshit. He was robbed of his life. So he puts together and brings back his little dog, which, of course, we all know from Pet Sematary and that kind of stuff. That's not a good idea. For one, it freaked people out because the dog was back. He wasn't the same dog that died. And so once again, the little boy has to go through letting the dog go, that this isn't right, I love it. Of course, it's about a dog. But I will say that if you have a loss that you haven't dealt with, this isn't the one for you. Me and Brandon, right after Zeus had passed away, he was like, I remember this. And I was like, I remember the story of Disney canning him over it. And I said, but I can't really remember what it's about, So we decided to watch it. And I think we cried the whole time this movie was on. To get ready for this show, I couldn't watch it again. I'm still not there with it.
Wow.
Yeah. But, anytime you have something that somebody has wrote to the point where they can touch you that way, they've done it beautifully, and I think he did a great job of wrapping up those feelings of this is wrong and I can't let go, because if I could have shocked my dog and brought him back, he'd be here right now as a Franken dog. I mean, if I was that smart, he would be here. Just because, it does kind of tap into, it's hard, So, this is another one. I absolutely love it, though. Like I said, it just because something makes you cry doesn't make it bad, I actually think that crying period there actually was good and healing for both of us. It was something we both needed to do, So there's very few people who can write something who can touch you that way, without even meeting you, can read what you're thinking and feeling and put it into a kid's movie, Although I'm still kind of with Disney on this one. I wouldn't have peddled this one out as kids movie. Maybe PG, but definitely not a G rating.
It is, after all, a straight-up retelling of Frankenstein, to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent.
It's a very shortened version, but yeah.
Yep.
Maybe not the happiest of subject matter.
Yeah.
Not that some of those fairy tales back in the day were all that happy either, but that's beside the point. Disney made a killing off of those.
Now, see, I think that's where he clashed with Disney. Disney is in the business to clean it up and make it all pretty, and the Little Mermaid didn't die, she married the prince and happily ever after, which was not the way it was wrote. I think Tim Burton taps into that. This is the way it was wrote. The Snow Queen is going to kill everyone, and piece together a love doll. I mean, that's the Burton way. I was surprised that he's even worked with Disney, because he's like the poster boy for what they don't want, you know?
Seems like a strange choice, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I don't think I mentioned it in our Muppets thing. Did you know that Tim Burton was also a puppeteer? And he was in the Muppets movie as a puppeteer with, oh God, what is his name? Landis, John Landis.
John Landis, yeah.
Yeah. They were puppeteers in that. And he also did a lot of the animation drawing and stuff for Fox and the Hound, which he's not credited for. But this was the stuff that he worked on with Disney. Now, Fox and the Hound. Everybody always goes to Bambi's mom was the saddest story. To me, it was Fox and the Hound. When she turned away from the little fox and left him there, that broke my heart. And to find out that Tim Burton was in a part of my first heartbreak makes sense. Because he's been squeezing that heart out, so many years. There's just a lot that he did with Disney that people will never know that he did. Tron, he did a lot of the animation work on Tron too. Not credited, but he was there and he did it,
Man, animators got a bum rap for a long time.
Yep.
It's only been recently. I mean, you can easily complain that movie credits are ridiculously long at this point. The problem is they should have been that long 100 years ago when people started doing this stuff, because there's a crap load of people involved in making these things, and they just flat didn't list their names before.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unfair.
And when Fox and the Hound came out, there was such a hole that Disney was experiencing, because you had the first class of guys, which, I'm sorry, my mind's blank tonight. Normally I could rattle off their names, but I can't. The guys who worked on things like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, they all graduated together. And so you have these guys who made those movies who were freaking put Disney on the map, And then you had this new talent coming in, which was Tim Burton's class. And you had to find something that you could do that matched what the old guys were doing, And, of course, anytime you have a shift like that, you have the newer guys who come in and go, you know what, instead of reusing the same cells over and over and over and over again, why aren't we drawing this? Why aren't we making it more fluid and, da-da-da-da-da? So we've really gained a lot. And so many movies have come out with this class of people who graduated with him that have even gone over into Pixar now. They pretty much animated our childhood, unbeknownst to us, that they pretty much set the pace to what Disney is now. And of course, now with this new animation style, you have the new class coming in, and why are we drawing this shit at all? Why aren't we doing it on the computer, So Tim Burton was part of that. We're changing the mold and we're breaking the cells. We're doing this a little different. And you can tell that in the earlier works. Now, Frankenweenie, although it does read like his older works, of course it's considered newer because Disney never saw that vision until 2012. So he had already done all this other stuff for him before they finally were like, okay, maybe we can give you the reins for a little while, and what would you like to do? Well, I want the story you can to get to see the light of day, and boom, we have Frankenweenie.
See, and the suck part there is that, the remake was, like you said, stop motion.
Mm-hmm.
The 84 version had a cast, and honestly, it was a pretty damn impressive cast.
Yes.
There's a lot of people there, I mean, there's a lot of famous people there.
Well,
Some
he
good performances.
got good money to do Frankenweenie.
Sure.
But like I said, once it was all said and done, I'd love to see that version. But once it was all said and done, Disney was like, God bless. All right, Morticia. You could almost see them, the goth kid turning in the homework to the jock. Yeah, it's like, ooh, what the hell is this? Where's the cute Disney eyes? And we can't sell dead dogs to kids.
It's an interesting point, to say the least.
Yeah.
Or can we?
Well, now they would, because they figured out there's people out there who... I never was really into princesses and, all that kind of crap. I liked G.I. Joe. I liked monsters. I liked
dead
Spooky.
dogs, apparently.
Well, yeah, those kind of stories.
Frankenstein.
But, yeah. To where his stuff, I think that's why it always resonated with me better, because that's kind of, that's
Closer
my
to your
style.
reality, right.
Yeah, I like things a little dark. Not dark as in gory, but just, a little twisted, a little fun, a little dark,
They could have sold it back then. Because they sold a Tauntaun with its belly cut open where you can stick your Luke Skywalker action figure into it. So, I mean, and that sold. So, hey, anything's possible.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable point, I think. You wouldn't necessarily have had a huge marketing opportunity there. You wouldn't sell it to every kid like you could sell the Star Wars stuff, but you could sell it.
True.
Yeah.
But that's kind of dark if you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Disney
I didn't think about
wasn't...
it then. Right?
In the 80s, they weren't peddling a lot of dark, though.
No, they were not. They wouldn't. They weren't doing it before that either.
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, you've got some of their stuff that's kind of,
Like the black hole?
You have moments. Oh, God.
Hey, that was a Disney film. They had action figures and stuff.
Yeah,
It
it
was few and far between, but they were there.
They wanted them to be there, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Star Wars was a big thing, but
yeah. Yeah, I think they probably kicked themselves in the ass for that one, though. Because had they have done that, we would have gotten, like, Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse's Bride so much sooner than what we did.
well, and Disney would have made a crap ton of money off of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those deals where Disney's going to play it real conservative, and so, I mean, that may be the way of the future, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we need Frank Miller and Alan Moore to come along and darken everything, and that's still a couple of years away. If he had made this in 1989 or 1990, if he was 5 years younger, yeah, we would have gotten Disney's Batman.
Yeah.
No
Although,
thanks.
like you had said, though, I preferred this in stop motion. Or, I don't know if it was stop motion, but I preferred it in that style than the live action. I just saw the live action. I didn't know that was even a thing.
That's the one I found online, honestly. I didn't watch the stop motion one.
You didn't watch the cartoon one?
I did not.
Nope.
Ah.
I didn't either.
The one I found the link for was the live action.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, I saw the one that they redid in 2012. It looks like this one was made in 84.
Mm-hmm.
with Shelley
I don't
Duvall
know.
and Daniel Stern.
I may have to watch that because now that I think about that, I may have seen it because I remember Barrett Oliver because he was in
He was
another
in
Disney movie that
The
was really
Never-Ending
big.
Story.
Yes, there you go.
I could not
And
get that out of my head while I was watching this either.
wasn't he also the kid that did that Star movie where he went to outer space because he could play video games?
No.
No?
That was an older
Okay.
guy.
That's Lance
That's
Guest.
Guest. And that's
Oh.
The Last Starfighter.
Okay. Maybe I am thinking.
Honestly, the characters could be this. It could be the same character 10 years later, or 5-6 years later, almost. But
Yeah. True.
Dang, have you seen that kid recently?
no.
He looks like Rob Zombie's son.
And that's a plus or a minus.
I don't know. I'll let y'all decide
I
that.
think I do based on that answer. But yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's kind of a shock. But yeah, I was glad to see this one. And honestly, when you picked the movies, I'm kind of glad you didn't go with like The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's too easy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people get that one confused with Tim Burton's work. And although the story was wrote by him, he had nothing to do with the animation or anything. That was all Henry Selick. So Tim Burton gets credited with his work, which actually Henry Selick went on to do Coraline, which people also think is Tim Burton. And it's like, no, that's Neil Gaiman. But I can see where you get that because him and Neil kind of have that same kind of woohoo kind of mind going on. But
I don't know. Third base.
yeah, these are some of his better stuff for sure. Although I could never pick a favorite.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah, he's all over the place. I mean, although people are saying now with since he's gotten back under Disney's umbrella, and he's had a couple of flops with Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland Part 2. What was the other one that he did that didn't do so well? Big Eyes. Big Eyes didn't do too well, which was actually kind of cool. That one was. They're
No
saying
pun intended.
they're saying that Gilmore, he's the guy who did Pan's Labyrinth. Gilmore,
Guillermo del Toro.
yes, they're saying that he might actually be the next Tim Burton, which I take all kinds of offense to.
I'm willing to bet that del Toro would too.
Yeah, well, it's two different kinds of styles. Teramo, whatever his name is, to me, he goes straight for, unless it's his animation. He does do a lot of kids cartoons, but most of his movies go straight for the gore. There's not a lot of it's a different style. With Tim Burton, it's not a gore kind of thing. It's more of a goth, macabre kind of dreary kind of feeling thing. He's not blood and guts, which to me Gilmore is. He's more go for the blood, go for the guts, go for the shock. Not saying he's not amazing, because out of all the horror stuff, I'm always complaining nothing scares me. He comes close. He comes really close, So I won't say that he's bad, but I wouldn't put him and Tim Burton in the same kind of bracket. But everybody's saying that Tim Burton needs to step his game up because he hasn't done anything that's really hit home in a few years now. And I think until he leaves Disney, he's not going to have that big boom again. He's gotten too Disney-fied. He cleaned his cobwebs out. Because I like Burton and I hate Dumbo. That was just bad. He should have never even touched that film or put his name anywhere near it because it was bad. The only thing good about that movie, two things. The elephant was cute and it had Danny DeVito. And that was it. So.
Frankenweenie, huh?
Yep. And did you hear that there may be, it's been talk and rumor for quite a while, that there is talk of a Beetlejuice 2? Yay.
There has been for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they said that he did announce it, that he would start working on it. Right now he's doing Wednesday, which I think is coming out on Netflix as a TV series. And then once he wraps that up, he said he was going to do a Beetlejuice. Everybody's asked him, and
yeah, one day there will be a Beetlejuice 2 and a reboot of the Spawn movie. Someday.
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 Hopefully they don't work on those together, because
Hopefully they don't work on those.
I was going to say, I think the best move for either of them would be to combine the two. But anyway.
Spawn. Doesn't have the same ring.
Ding! I heard a ring.
I could see Burton and McFarlane working together. That might actually be kind of scary what they come up with,
Yeah, well, McFarlane's busy on all this other stuff that's supposed to be happening like next year.
See, that's been McFarlane's problem. He's good at what he does, but he gets too much going. The whole time whenever he was talking about doing, the Spawn movie, he was working on all the Walking Dead stuff. So it's kind of like he's not just known for writers, he's a good creator too, and a good artist, and he just gets so much going. I think he wants to do all this stuff. He just doesn't have time to do all this stuff. There needs to be two of them. Which, is a good problem in life to have when you're too much in demand, But, yeah, I mean.
No. I don't want to go down that road with McFarlane, because from what I've been reading, he's about to flood the market with everything Spawn, like several different books, TV shows, and movies, and I'm just like, really? Or a character that the general public has not thought about in 30 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good luck with that, dude.
Yep.
Spawn and the Spawn movie is kind of one of those things that found its popularity and footing after. It wasn't that popular when it came out. So
it wasn't that good. That's why it was popular.
Right. But now the movie, everybody's watching it. It's pulp, or what do they call it? Pop.
It's a cult
pop
favorite.
Culture. Yeah, a cult favorite. There you go. Like Napoleon Dynamite. Nobody watched that shit when it was at the movies, and that's just bad.
I did.
Did you? I mean, I love it, but it bombed at the box office. But after it left, people really was like, oh, hey, that's funny, and hey, this is good. So I think Spawn's one of those that kind of found its footing after its time, which created the demand that we have now. Lady Death, same way. She found her following after her stuff, and now she hasn't been done right since, but, now you pay, $20 for a comic with her in it? So, yeah. That's what I think happened to McFarlane. He found his following after the fact, when he was already too busy with everything else, And it was bad, but sometimes bad is good. It's so bad that it's good.
Uh-huh. That is entirely true of some things. I'm not sure Spawn is one of them.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll see. We'll see what comes out next year and see what happens.
See if it does come out next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath, but
We'll see which comes out first. Spawn or Beetlejuice.
Indeed.
Hmm. But no, to bring it back around, I'm ready for something good to come from Burton. I'm ready for it. It's his turn.
As long as we don't use the argument that he already had his turn, but we'll see.
Yeah. And if you look at his career, though, you can really tell whenever Disney let him do his thing and when he was influenced by Disney. It's like he sold part of his soul to the devil, you know? And it just his latest stuff has just kind of, it's been missing him. You know, it's been missing that goth feel, the grit that he normally gave us, and it's been a while since he's put something like that out that we need again.
Clearly he's too happy.
Yeah, he's banking. I mean, he's banking.
He needs to be young and dark and hungry again.
Yeah. And part of me hopes he hasn't lost that part of him, that he's been over there in the light too long. You know? I hope he didn't get a tan, but I don't know. And you know, some of this too, he did some of this right after he split up with Helena, and I'm wondering if maybe maybe he lost his little dark angel, or I don't know. But he needs to get that back, and
yeah, I don't know. Most of his best stuff happened before he met Helena to start with. So, you know.
His best stuff, she's the main voice in. You know, her and Johnny made him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready. And if he's not going to give it to us, I'm ready for another Tim Burton to come along and, you know, pick up the torch, you know. But I'll always have a place in my heart for Burton.
So does anybody else have an opinion on Frankenweenie?
Well, I just got to say I'm sorry I took it the wrong way, and I watched Frankenhooker. No. I had a problem with Frankenweenie because it was so damn long. It just,
wow.
It just plodded. And I'd seen these characters before, and not necessarily in one of Burton's movies, but I'd seen these people before so many times that I just could not bring myself to enjoying it. I know it was big and it was costly, but for some reason I kept looking at my watch going, this is over, right? But I was wrong. For some reason, somehow it said, oh no, we got another 45 minutes.
It's still going to this day.
It's truly the never-ending story.
Oh God, don't bring that up. That's crap. That's some of the worst crap ever.
Okay, not to completely crap on your thing, Les.
That's fine.
No. You're just gonna hate me for pointing this out. The live action version is like 26 minutes long.
I should have searched for that one.
Yeah, so you started talking about it being long, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I looked. Yeah, the animated one is 87 minutes. The not animated one is much shorter. And I'm sure works without having seen the animated one. I can almost promise you that the shorter one works better because it is not completely overwrought with trying to stretch it out to 3 times its length.
Right. Because at this point, Disney wanted to make a full-length movie like they're used to putting out. And I think what the animation had that the live action didn't have was some of the run-ins with like the people that scared, he got scared of the dog and that kind of thing that led him to the point where he realized he had to let him go. I think that's probably the part Les is talking about that kind of drug out. It was filler stuff that they threw in there that had it been a short movie, they wouldn't have had to have. But it could have been a montage.
The other thing I will say to that is that the live action version, I think, ends differently.
Yeah.
It is a different kind of ending than that.
Yeah.
So this is one of those fun occasions where we're watching the same movie, but it's not the same movie because it's 2 very different versions of the same movie.
Yeah.
And there's a theory, which I don't think Burton's ever denied or made any kind of mention to, but they think that the dog Sparky in Frankenweenie was also Victor's dog in Corpse's Bride because he's like a skeleton dog. And then you have Zero, who is in The Nightmare Before Christmas, who's a full-blown ghost dog. So people think the way the dog's head is and everything else that it may be the story of Tim Burton's dog from dying to the total afterlife, which is kind of cool. Kind of connects some of his films, but I don't know. I just think he likes animals and he finds a way to put them in there.
Could be. Maybe he liked, in particular, bull terriers.
Yeah. Well, and it's always the guy who has a dog. So I think he's like a really firm believer in a boy and his dog,
Could be.
So. But I would love to find out which family pet he had. He had a dog. Just his movies alone shows you that he had some kind of relationship with a dog. That sounded gross, but yeah.
Not until you said that. It was fine. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely my take on it was well, now hearing this, I like the short version very much. My initial feeling, I can't imagine it being dragged out to an hour and a half. But my initial feeling of it was that, I mean, I know it was intended to be derivative of Frankenstein, but I think it was
A little too much.
It was a little too much in some ways, but it also worked. I think it could have been just as interesting had it been. I mean, you're going to get some parallels, but I think if he had downplayed the parallels somewhat, it would have worked a little better. That said, it was cute. I thought it overall worked fairly well. It wasn't. I like Vincent better for sure. Not just because it was shorter, and I like everything to be short or anything, but I thought Vincent was it was kind of his own story, even if it was really heavy-handed in the Vincent Price stuff. I thought in that context it was actually cute. Here, I think it's a little overblown. I think he's trying a little too hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it works. I think it works pretty well. I definitely think it's worth watching. You guys are not selling me on the longer version for sure, but
I think with most his work, though, you're going to see a very heavily influence of Mary Shelley on him, though. In almost every movie, he's always got some kind of Frankenstein girl or guy, or there's always some kind of stitch work, person that I would almost give my life on saying that Mary Shelley had a very heavy impact on him growing up.
Oh, sure.
Where you see that influence through all of his work,
I mean, you say this, and without even me thinking about it, the one that pops into my head is Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
Because there's the aliens build a woman.
Yep.
And send it out into the world.
Well, and Nightmare Before Christmas, one of the main characters is Sally, and she's patchwork girl. She was built for a scientist to be the perfect woman for him.
It's funny how we went in different directions with the same thing, because I was when you said the word Stitch, I immediately thought of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman's costume.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's always some kind of, that's probably his favorite monster.
Because that literally was a rebirth.
Yeah. Well, and then in Corpse's Bride, the girl's half alive, half dead kind of thing, So, yeah, I could definitely see her influence in a lot of his stuff.
Yep. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprising, given what we watched for today, for this episode.
Yeah.
I watched the live action version as well, and I liked it. I can see where Mike's coming from, but yeah, I did like the short, and was kind of. I did not realize that Daniel Stern and Shelley Duvall were in this, and then God, Shelley was great in this.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It really makes me sad that she's not doing anything now, but I think that's
she got out of the business to take care of herself, and that's fine.
And that's very understandable. Yeah, I get that, but
yeah, it wasn't good. Acting wasn't good for her.
Yeah.
Her career wasn't good for her, so she got out of it, which is good. Good for her.
Well, apparently acting I ain't gonna go there. I won't go there. If you read the article, you have a pretty good idea where I was about to go. So, but that's okay. We'll move on. All right. Any final thoughts on Frankenweenie, Dan?
No.
Watch the short version.
Now, are you recommending something without having seen it, Les?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You might upset someone.
I wasn't upset. I was just pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Pleasantly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, this is right up there with schlock.
Now you're being underthrown under the bus by her, Les. I mean, come on. You gonna allow that?
Yes.
Okay.
He's my friend. He knows I don't mean nothing by it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we're not, Mikey, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Yeah.
She hasn't thrown me under any buses yet tonight either, and I emphasize the yet.
Yeah. It's still early.
It is. Is it
I
really?
got a little test.
Do we?
Well, not in time, but we still have a lot more to
Fix the
go
joke.
over.
All the days of our lives.
So, final thoughts on Frankenweenie and Vincent.
They're good. You should see them.
Mm-hmm. They are.
The short version.
Here, here.
It is a good look into his earlier stuff. So.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. All right. And on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for weekly picks, and this week I lead off. For my first choice, I'm going with a new book from Blues Juice Comics, Billy the Kit. And Billy the Kit is a gunslinging rabbit who's seeking revenge against the tornado god that killed his family. I mean, come on. Anthropomorphic rabbit on revenge. I mean, why not? Especially with it being written by Justin Gray.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very cool.
So I'm excited about this one. This should be pretty good.
Yep. Sounds pretty neat.
Yep. Alrighty, Les, you are next.
My first choice is Classic Pulp #1 from Source Point Press. It's a tongue twister. This one is Spooks and Sleuths cover, which was appealing to me. But in this, you've got Tales of Ghouls and Gumshoes. These are digitally remastered stories that bring you the stories from the 40s and 50s. And I'm excited about this because this was the early stuff that I got into as a youngster. So try this one out. I think it's going to be a fun read.
Sounds like it.
Cool.
Alrighty, Liz.
For my first pick, I'm going with a one-shot from Oni Press, and it's Rick and Morty Presents Snuffles Goes to War. If you guys remember Snuffles, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, Snuffles was Morty's dog who got the, I don't know, it was like the brain helmet that made him smart, and they like took over the world. But during this time, Snuffles became Snowball. And at the very end, he decided that, Snuffles decided that pretty much humans were pretty much dirt and they were smarter than them and could live better without them. So they sent them off to a canine empire where Snuffles was the, I guess, the president. I don't know what a dog would be, but this one we will go to where the canine empire where Snuffles was banished. Well, not banished. They chose to go. And this is going to be dog versus squirrel. So it should be good. And it says that it's the battle for all the good dogs. So, I mean, if you watch the episode, it is one of the more popular ones. The whole we can live without humans kind of thing, I don't know. It hit a nerve. I wanted to go live on Canine Empire with them,
Of course you did.
But it was always kind of, well, what happened, I always thought that if dogs had opposable thumbs, we'd all be in trouble. So this kind of gives us a glimpse into that.
God, I hope
If they
it
could
takes
extend
more than
their
that. Right.
if they could extend their middle finger, we'd all really be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, we would.
Wow.
All righty. Yeah. Mikey.
Okie dokie. My first pick is from Dynamite, and I am picking Jennifer Blood, #1. I guess they finally decided it's time for more Jennifer Blood. If you are not familiar from previous runs, she is a suburban housewife who moonlights as an assassin. And the last time we saw her, she was dead, or at least she appeared to be. But
I'm getting better.
But now she's turned up. Apparently, she just retired because she's turned up in a small town in Utah, where people are starting to disappear, and it's possible that witness protection might have been involved somehow. But so yeah, it's time. I think it's high time for a return of Jennifer Blood. I always liked the character, and it does not hurt that Fred Van Lente is writing it.
Yes, that's a bonus. Yep.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. I am up again for my second choice. Come on, it's Halloween time. So let's get a Halloween book in here. And why not be Archie? Archie's Halloween Spectacular #1, with a brand new story entitled Pumpkin Problemo. And according to the synopsis, Archie unknowingly rebuffs a witch friend of Sabrina's. He wakes up Halloween morning with a jack-o'-lantern head complete with cross-hatching on the side. Even worse, he can't convince anyone it's real and not a costume. I mean, come on.
That's cool.
Gotta get some Archie in here somehow.
Got a little bit of a. I mean, granted, our choices this year are on a little bit on the lighter side, but nice little palate cleanser without Archie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Dun,
fun.
dun, dun.
Dun. Okay, Les, you are next.
Okay, from Artists, Writers, and Artisans comes Out, #1. This is taking place in the end of World War II. The Allies are advancing, and a Nazi officer finds an ancient force of evil that he knows will change the battle, and that is a vampire. To test the power of the vampire, he unleashes it upon a group of Allied POWs. In this, though, is Nakona, a Comanche language expert, who attempts to communicate with the vampire to find out what it really wants. This is a first of 5 issues, so it's a brief run, but I'm interested in how they twist the war and the vampire into a viable story.
Yeah, this was on my radar, so I'm definitely intrigued.
That does sound interesting.
That does.
All right, Liz.
All right. For my second pick, I also picked a spooky one, which is from DC. Are You Afraid of Darkseid? If you guys remember, in the 90s, there was a TV show that was called Are You Afraid of the Dark? And a bunch of teenagers would sit around a campfire and they would tell spooky stories. This is the same premise. It's the Teen Titans who are sitting around the campfire telling stories of like Batman and the Hidden Killer and Superman and Lois and the Killer in the Back Seat. This one will offer us, it looks like 8 stories, 7 individuals plus the 8th one of the ongoing of them telling the stories and stuff. Looks spooky. I'm excited because, like I said, I did watch, Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I kind of like that they're playing into that. So if you're looking for something spooky, this is a one-shot, one and done.
Yeah, it sounds like it's their Halloween spectacular that they put out every year. And yeah, I definitely, when I heard the title, that I definitely thought of the old show. So I think that's pretty cool that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Should be fun.
Should be.
Sounds like they found a fun way to twist that. It's cool.
Yep. But once again, that's one of those. It's like, why didn't somebody think of this before?
Right.
That's kind of right there, but
Well, with some of the writers that they have on this one, I remember a couple of months back, everybody was doing the Dark Side Is, and I'm wondering if this is playing into, because some of the same people who wrote this were asking that question. So
yeah, possible. Definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, Mike.
Okie dokie. So my second pick is from Asylum Press, and I am choosing, not to be outdone, the Vampire Macabre Halloween special. Because apparently it's like October or something, and we're going to do a bunch of Halloween specials. But
Yay!
This one looks cool because it's essentially just a collection of a bunch of various new vampire stories from various international writers and artists. So, this would be a good showcase to take a look at some new talent that's out there and up and coming. And you get vampires out of the deal too, so it's a win-win.
Win-win, yeah. Awesome.
Very nice.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, do we need to go ahead and plug that our special All the Horror episode will be coming out a couple of days after this one drops? I think we kind of mentioned it before, but...
Sure, we can mention that.
Yeah.
It'll be...
And why don't you go ahead and talk about All the Horror for those who are not familiar with the project?
Sure. All the Horror is a group of creators. Lots of podcasts. There are some writers and some artists involved. And we get together in October and do a bunch of crossover stuff and work together and come up with some fun and scary and creepy ideas and put it all together into a string of podcasts. And there's a website. And it's a lot of, it's been a lot of, this is our third year doing it. So it's been a lot of fun for us. We have enjoyed the crap out of it. We actually tend to come at it with kind of a lighter tone. So look forward to that here in a couple of days from when you're listening to this, because there will be a new episode in the middle of the week. I mean, we usually drop on Sundays. We're going to drop this on Tuesday. And it will be marketed on our stuff as well as on the All the Horror Twitter account, which is at All the Horror 18. It'll be on the website. There will be links to everything, and I will certainly at least be plugging the crap of all the cool stuff that comes out from all the other folks. It's always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it seems like we top the previous year. We continue to do that, and this one, I mean, it was a blast when we were doing it. I can't imagine what it sounds like listening to it, but apparently, because you talking about you actually laughing a ton editing the thing. So.
Oh yeah, my family thought I was nuts. They thought I lost my damn mind because I was in the room, in my study by myself with the door closed, and they could hear me laughing basically throughout the house.
So yeah, this is probably our best one yet. So until next year comes, and then that may be our best one. Who knows? So, but
We'll
yeah,
see
be
what
on
we
the
can
lookout.
do,
Yeah, be on the lookout for that, and definitely check out all the other shows that are part of All the Horror, and check them out the rest of the year as well. So, okay, let's go ahead and do our regular shout outs then. First off, Pop Goes to Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. Definitely check them out. There will be a link in our show notes. Also, check out all the fine men and women who have been so gracious enough to spread the word of the fellowship by retweeting us on Twitter. That is Potter and Family, and the best way to locate them is do a search, hashtag Potter and Family, all one word. Scroll through, whatever catches your eye, download that link, that episode, and I hope you have a good time checking them out. Thank you guys, as always. Want to thank Maddie the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. There will be a link in the show notes for them where you can check out their fine music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the website, and on the About Us page, there's a contact form you can fill out. We've already mentioned the Discord before. There is a channel specifically designed for feedback. So once you join our Discord, if there's anything you'd like to pop in there or just send us messages, you can do that. We are on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. And obviously, we're on Twitter, @FellowshipGeeks. Please follow us there, and you can contact us there as well. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our shows, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review us, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We do appreciate your support as always. Until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Until next time,